Hello, this is Robert Stearns. Hey, I want to thank you for tuning in. I really believe that learning is one of the greatest joys in life. And one of the greatest ways to learn is simply to have meaningful conversations, both with those who come from a similar background as yours, as well as those whose background might be very different. So my hope is that as we connect and converse with leaders from all around the world, that we will learn and grow together. If you're new with us, hit the subscribe button and we'll deliver the new episodes to you right away. So wherever you are, on a run, in the car, at the kitchen table with some coffee, welcome to the conversation. Hey, and good evening, everybody. God bless you from coast to coast and all around the world. Welcome to this week's edition of Bishop and the Rabbi. Those of you who have found your way to the home of Jerusalem-centered Christianity. We are a group of followers of Jesus who have understood that there's a great difference between the message of Jesus and his early followers and what that has turned into culturally over centuries. And we are on a path to rediscover and reconnect with the faith of Jesus. We want to walk in the faith of Jesus. Please go ahead and sign in. Here we go. Denise from Youngstown, Ohio. Terry from Indiana. Laverne from Brooklyn. Brooklyn is in the house. Our rabbi tonight was born in Brooklyn. Anto Moore, God bless you. Welcome. Hey, Lynn Gonzalez, West Seneca. Folks, you've got one job. You know what it is. Hit the share button. Hi, Mom. Mom is tuning in from Pennsylvania. Ron from Depew, good to see you. David Krause. Hey, Baltimore. Love you guys. Go ahead and tune on in. Type in your name real quick. Hit the share button and let us know where you are watching from. Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah, there's my brother, Joseph Cruz. God bless you, Joseph from Phoenix. Hey, folks, a couple quick announcements as we get started tonight. Number one, we are going back to Israel. I don't care if it's COVID, no COVID. I don't care anything. We're going, if we've got to get in a boat and row our way there, we're going to Israel. So September the 27th to October the 8th for our annual Awake Jerusalem trip. Hey, Brother Carlton, God bless you. Great to have you on tonight. Anaheim, California, Diana Hogue, God bless you. Diana, I'm working on getting your correspondence to be digital rather than printed because we want to take care of the environment. I appreciate that. So join us in Israel this September 27th. We're going. If you've come to Israel with me, just type in I've been to Israel with Bishop or something like that. It's the trip of a lifetime. Also, if you are a first timer tonight, just type in that it's your first time and help us, guys. Hit the share button. That's your job tonight. I want to make sure that you're joining us for Torah Tuesdays every Tuesday at 12. Torah Tuesdays at 12. We are currently in the book of Genesis with our teacher, Mark Gerson. It has been fantastic. Hey, Matt Poole, thank you for all the help today, son. You're doing a great job. Appreciate you. So Torah Tuesdays at 12 is amazing. Set a reminder on your phone. Be there. It's the National Bible Study. Lately, I'm talking to my tech team, it's been the Global Bible Study. We've had about 10 different nations. We've got the UK tuning in, Germany tuning in. I'm blanking on the other nations right now, but we've had about 10 different nations tuning in every week. Absolutely. Carol Moreau has been to Israel with us 3 times. Folks, help us. We need your help. Abraham's Bread are 2 feeding centers. We have a feeding center in Jerusalem. It's right near the central train station in Jerusalem, just near the United Hatzalah building. And we have our feeding center on the Sea of Galilee across the street from the Leonardo Hotel. We are feeding hundreds of Israelis every week. If you have never made a gift to Abraham's Bread, you've never made a donation, would you consider doing that tonight? The link is in the comments. Go to eagleswings.org/give hope. eagleswings.org/give hope. Partner with us for Abraham's Bread. Deborah Lombardo, it is your first time tonight. Welcome, Deborah. We're glad to have you. Glad to have you. Sue Bevel, welcome. Trisha Miller is here from Boston. Trisha is with Camera. I'm sure that our Rabbi Cooper knows all about Camera. We're going to bring him on in just a moment. But Trisha is one of the senior executives with Camera. Great to have you here. All right, so I think those are my announcements. Awake Jerusalem, Abraham's Bread, Torah Tuesdays at 12. Follow us on all the social media channels, please. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all the various channels. So important that you do that, and that we continue to grow this global family of Jerusalem-based Christianity. We believe that we have a covenant and a call to stand with the land of Israel. We believe it is a sacred piece of real estate, and with the Jewish people, our elder brothers and sisters. And so we are so honored and so excited about that tonight. Kay Harris, God bless you. Delaware is in the house. Eileen is here from Yonkers, New York. What a crew tonight. Wow, we got a great crew all across America. Folks, what a rabbi we have with us tonight. One of the great rabbis of this generation. He is originally from Brooklyn, New York. Rabbi Abraham Cooper has been the leading force all around the world in so many issues of our day, whether it was helping the Russian Jews be released during the time of the Soviet Union, whether it's standing against anti-Semitism at the United Nations, whether it is opening up diplomatic channels with the Arab and Muslim world. Our rabbi has met with King Hussein, with King Abdallah, with Prince Hassan of Jordan, with the Indonesian President Wahid, with the Grand Mufti of Egypt, Sheikh Tantawi. I have been with Rabbi Cooper in Baku, in Azerbaijan, with the president there. He has been an ambassador on behalf of the Jewish people. And here's what else I appreciate about him so deeply. He recognizes that we really do belong to one another as a human family. And he has been lifting his voice on behalf of persecuted Christians all around the world and speaking out on behalf of persecuted Christians. He's the dean of the Simon Wiesenthal Center in Los Angeles, though he is far more on an airplane all around the world than he is in LA. Newsweek magazine listed him as one of the 50 most influential rabbis in the United States, one of the top 10 religious figures in America in 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, right here tonight, brothers and sisters, would you help me welcome Rabbi Abraham Cooper? Rabbi, welcome, sir. Baruch haba.
Thank you, Bishop. And do you remember the last time we were together? No, well, Baku perhaps, but the last time we were together for a presentation was in the hall, in the receiving hall at Ben Gurion Airport in Tel Aviv. And I could just tell anyone who's thinking about going on a trip with Bishop Stearns to Israel, you'll have a trip of a lifetime, but bring along sturdy walking shoes. This guy is a taskmaster, and you're really going to have an opportunity to fall in love with the Holy Land. So I hope that the Christians who are watching will join you. And I travel an enormous amount, but I haven't done very much traveling during COVID-19. So just for the signing of the peace treaty at the White House. Other than that, I've been locked down here in Los Angeles. So it's an honor to be with you.
Well, sir, the honor is ours, and I mean that so sincerely. I remember the first time I met you. I'm going to be very transparent, and I meet a lot of people, but I'm rarely intimidated. But your career, sir, has been so illustrious. You have been such a force, and you welcomed me there to the incredible Wiesenthal Center. And Rabbi, I've got to tell you, one of the reasons we want to get back to Israel is someday soon, Bizrat Hashem, the Wiesenthal Center Museum in Jerusalem.
Right.
That's a massive project that you've undertaken. Take a moment and tell us about what that center is going to be. It's right there in the very heart of Jerusalem. Those
Right.
of you who've been with me at the Friend of Zion Museum across the street there, it's right in the very, very heart of Jerusalem. Give us an update on that.
Right. So, since we're talking biblically tonight, we will have now two museums of tolerance: the one in Los Angeles and the one in Jerusalem, if we can get in there to finish things up. And as Rabbi Heyer, the visionary dean and founder of our institution, said, what's the difference between the two museums? So he said the one in Los Angeles focuses on what King David said, Sur Meirah, remove yourself from evil, distance yourself from evil. And the next few words that we say every Shabbat morning from Psalms is what Jerusalem is going to be about. Va'aseh tov, and do good. Remove yourself from evil and use your time to do good. So the
Wow.
Jerusalem Museum, it's a whole campus. Of course, it has the theaters. And it'll have a children's museum as well. It will review, it'll try to answer the question, first of all, how in the world did the Jewish people survive for nearly 2,000 years without its land, without a language, etc.? And then the second part of the museum will deal with today's headlines and how it is that we're challenged to apply our values in addressing the challenges and, frankly, some of the threats that are coming our way. So we're looking forward to making sure the museum will be a stop for all of you future groups in a couple of years. And in the meantime, I'd like to just acknowledge your commitment, to the state of Israel and to the land of Israel. It's been rock solid and never tied to a particular political leader or how the political winds are blowing left, right, or not at all. So it's probably the main reason I'm on tonight is a recognition of the good that you've done.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you so much. And Rabbi, when you raise the question, how did the Jewish people survive for 2,000 years without their land? We really come now to the heart of our time tonight as we get started, which is that they had a book. When they didn't have the land, they had a book, and they studied that book, and they lived that book, and they remembered that book. And so that's what we come to tonight. We come to Mishpatim is our parsha tonight, everybody. So get ready. Turn to Exodus chapter 21. Exodus chapter 21. Rabbi Tricia Miller, who is one of our Eagles Wings members, and she also works for Camera, she says that she can't wait to get back there because she's such dear friends with Rabbi Adlerstein. And of course,
Yes.
we all love Rabbi Adlerstein so much.
We all do. We all do.
So everybody, Exodus 21 is where we're beginning through chapter 24. Get your Bibles out, get your highlighter. Hope you've got your coffee or your, not coffee, but your tea. So, folks, we're coming off of the Sinai moment, okay? God meets Moses at a burning bush. There is an individual encounter that Moses has at a burning bush where God speaks to him a word of purpose, a word of journey, a word of destiny. He says, go to Pharaoh. Moses balks. Moses fights with God, but he finally answers God's call. The interchange between Pharaoh and Moses, the plagues, all of this has happened. Then they've been delivered. They've come across the Red Sea. And now it's not Moses meeting with God at a bush. It's a nation meeting with God at a mountain. But it is a defining epic moment in human history. All of human history is about to change forever because a people are about to receive and then transmit ethical monotheism to all of human history through this encounter. And so Mishpatim literally means the law, or it means sentences, like to speak a sentence, to write a sentence. And chapter 21, 22, 23 begins to unpack for us the laws of God, the sentences of God. And Rabbi is going to teach us this in a moment. But I want to tell you, I just think that this is so amazing that we reach back into the dust of history thousands of years ago when the rest of the world is caught up in barbarism, the rest of the world is caught up in and here is this desert tribe of people, and they are balancing out justice and mercy. And this is truly the gift of the Jewish people to humanity, because when you walk in the perfect balance of justice and mercy, then that's how you follow your conscience. Your conscience is that walking out of justice and mercy together, because both justice and mercy flow from the throne of Hashem. So, Rabbi, we're reaching back thousands of years to this epic moment at Sinai. The law is being given. Talk to us tonight. What does Mishpatim say to us tonight for our lives in our world?
Right. So for those of us who are old enough to remember the movie, The Ten Commandments, with Charlton Heston, if you have never seen it, you should rent it. What a dynamic story. Bishop Stearns already gave a lot of those details, but it is epic. So you would think that right after the giving of the Ten Commandments, you go right to the golden calf and use the next couple of books to give in the details of the law. You know, I'm based here in Hollywood. If you have a great story and a momentum, you go for it. All of a sudden, the Torah, the narrative, stops. And we get into the details, the nitty-gritty, if you will. And it's an amazing message. Many of the scholars and rabbis over the generations speak about it. There's a great essay from Lord Jonathan Sachs, who just passed, about Mishpatim called Vision and Detail, which is a really brilliant way of putting it. If we talk about the Ten Commandments as vision, then the reason why the Torah stops right here and goes into detail about all sorts of things, slavery, Shabbat, interactions if someone gets hurt on your property, whatever. There are, you can see behind me, volumes of the Talmud. There are literally volumes of the Talmud written about the quotations from these chapters. And the question is why? Why go into these details at this particular point? And the underlying, I think, strategy, if you will, or theme, is just that. You have great vision. The people now have been freed from their shackles. They were slaves and now they're free. And what they've experienced at Mount Sinai also included still more miracles. But before we go further, the Torah, God, through Moses, is telling the people, 1 second, you can't live, you can't sustain, you can't establish a people or a civilization or a future just on visions, just on miracles, just on the, if you will, the sound, the light shows. God was essentially telling the people, the underpinnings of this, the section called Mishpatim is, you need to connect the two. And again, quite brilliantly, if you know the Hebrew, but even if you look at the English translation, what is the first word of Mishpatim in English? The very first word in your Chumash.
In chapter 21, verse 1?
Yeah.
It says, these are the laws. You are to set.
You see that? So it's not accurate, because the first word should be, and these are the laws.
Wow.
The first letter of Mishpatim is the Hebrew letter Vav, which means ve'ele, and of course, rabbis.
Chapter 21, you need to get that. There's an and in there that we're missing.
At the beginning, it's a fundamental. It's sort of like, that is really the main teaching, if you will, of Mishpatim. Okay. It's not in the translation. What do I mean? It means that many of the laws that you're going to be seeing in Mishpatim are based on logic. Many civilizations came to the same conclusion. It's not a good idea to steal from someone, or we can't have a society where you don't respect boundaries, et cetera, et cetera. And every society has, festivals and all the rest. What that one letter, the Vav, is to also send an explicit message. You had the miraculous giving of the Ten Commandments on Mount Sinai. Okay. And you would think, okay, these rules here, I get it. You're trying to sort of fill things out, and they're logical. So you have the miraculous and you have the logical. The Torah is coming to teach us and guide us that no, they're all linked. Even the laws that we think are totally logical, the reason why the Jewish people are instructed to keep them is because God said so. And after all, Bishop, I would say, we live in very interesting times when the very fundamentals of our beliefs, of our here in the United States, our nation's history, our heroes, everything is being attacked, confronted, torn down, etc. So at the core, the reason why we keep these Mishpatim is, of course, they have a logic to it, but the reason we keep it and maintain it is not because man told us to do it. It's because God instructed us to follow. So that means, and there are many laws, when you will talk about the later on, chukat, there are many chukim. Mishpat usually means something that's more logical. A chok, we don't understand, but we follow because of God. What that one letter is saying is, you got to buy the whole package. And as Lord Sachs, basically said, look, it's vision plus a narrative. What a great narrative the book of Exodus is, right? Plus detail. Yeah. For the Jewish people from throughout, it's always been a matter of following the law, because if you don't have those laws, then you really don't have a future. Now, for us, we're looking back now at nearly 3,000 years of history. But if you think about the slaves who just came out of Egypt, they got the full Ten Commandments, Charlton Heston treatment. They got the 10 plagues. They were the Passover. They were, they got to the Red Sea and nobody knew how to swim. And surprise, surprise, they got across and the Egyptian army became the Navy. And all of these, one miracle after another. I think in a profound way, Mishpatim is telling the Jewish people that, if you want a future, you have to be able to fill it with meaning and with rules. And number two, you're not going to be able to count on the miraculous, at least the obvious miraculous, every day in your lives. You're going to be partners. You're the junior partner of the good Lord. Every single one of us have our unique skill set. But what brings us together are obviously prayer, shared history, but also at the core, shared values.
Rabbi, this is so important, and it's so of the moment. And to be honest, specifically for most of our community, because what you're saying to us tonight is that there is not a difference between the God of the thunder and the lightning and the fire and the voice and the miraculous and the God of the meticulous and the specific and the mundane. That indeed the miraculous and the mundane absolutely are both sacred and are both important. And I think specifically for our community, many of us come out of a branch of evangelicalism that is more known as Pentecostal or charismatic, and there's a certain fascination kind of with the miraculous and with the prophetic and these things. And that's wonderful, because faith should be exciting and faith should be compelling. And we should always believe that God can do amazing things. But if we're not careful, if we're only building a faith that demands a certain manifestation of the miraculous and doesn't see that everyday life is sanctified, that God's presence fills every moment of our lives, then we're going to get into a crisis of faith, because we're not filling every part of what we do with meaning, and we're kind of chasing around only after miracles rather than seeing that the miraculous can be right in front of us just every single day. And so this is amazing, and I think very of the moment for us. David Krause is telling us, there are 53 mitzvot in this parsha. There are 53 commands in this parsha. 23 of them are positive commands. Thou shalt. This is something you shall do, and 30 are prohibitions. Thou shalt not. But this is um, this is a passage that really gives those great specific instructions. And one of them, Rabbi, I don't want to direct you too much, but one that I would love it if you would speak to, that I just find fascinating, picks it up in verse 12. It says, anyone who strikes a man and kills him shall surely be put to death. However, if he does not do it intentionally, but Hashem lets it happen, then he is to flee to a place I will designate. And of course, this is this introduction of this concept of cities of refuge,
Yes.
Of sanctuaries where people who find themselves overwhelmed in circumstances somehow beyond their control, Hashem makes provision for them. And I just, Rabbi, it blows my mind when I think thousands of years ago, here are this desert people receiving from God this elegant jurisprudence, this elegant, giving of the law that doesn't only express judgment, but also expresses mercy. Talk to us about the cities of refuge.
Well, there were 6 cities, I think, on each side, 3 on each side of the Jordan. And basically, as the Torah introduces, there is a difference between murder and manslaughter. And, even ideas of, if you're working on a construction project and a blade flies out from that might be close to, it might be an accident, but it might be close. Maybe you should have done a better job, etc. In the Middle East, I think till this day and in other cultures, when a loved one is killed by someone, they don't get into the details of, was it an accident, whatever. It means that my brother is dead, you did it, we're coming after you. That's sort of the law of many societies. And the Torah is basically saying, no, we only put someone to death if there are witnesses, if there's a trial, etc. But if you were involved in that kind of an act where you took someone else's life, the family has the right initially to come after you. And if you get to that city of refuge and they investigate it and finds out that you're not a murderer, then you get to stay in that city. And Bishop, I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you know when you can actually leave? There was only one circumstance other than passing away.
No.
When the high priest, when the Kohen Gadol passed away, there was an amnesty for the people in those cities. And I want to share with you that back, believe it, I'm an old man, back in 1989, just before Tiananmen Square, I was in Shanghai, China for my first visit, where I gave lectures, and I was amongst many, many professors who had suffered horribly during the Cultural Revolution. And so they asked me at dinner to say a few words. They found a Zen Buddhist restaurant I could eat the vegetables in, and extremely polite people. And I told them exactly the story about the cities of refuge. And I could tell that they were saying to themselves, this rabbi must have jet lag. What is he talking about, cities of refuge? And then I said, by the way, could you imagine a society where every night mothers and fathers and grandparents and sisters prayed for the death of the high priest? And
wow.
Then everyone around the table who had suffered under Chairman Mao, and probably got, unfortunately, some are suffering as we speak now in that atheistic system.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you can also do a teaching to people across massive cultural divides, using that kind of reference. But again, this built in here is the idea of there are going to be rules, rules of law. There are going to be rules that apply to all parts of life, including what goes on in the bedroom. This was all revolutionary. And then they throw in there a very interesting thing about a Jewish slave. And all of a sudden, you go from being a Jewish slave to an indentured worker for 6 years, and then you leave. But what if you want to stay? So the Torah says they bore a hole in your ear.
You would pierce your ear. You
You
take the.
pierce your ear because the Torah is telling us, yeah, being a slave actually, in some ways, is really easy, having someone else making your decisions. But that's not why God put us on the earth. He put us on the earth to have freedom of choice, to hopefully choose to do the right thing. And someone who voluntarily gives up that freedom is
Talking
someone
about.
who needs to be reminded every single day about the wrong decision that they made. And I think one other point, I know you have this every single week, but it's also important for people who are reading the five books of Moses to know that, yeah, they're seeing the letters and they're reading the letters, but it's the stuff in between the letters, our traditions that were not necessarily written down, the Torah
Right.
Shabbal Peh, the oral traditions that inform us, in an even more profound and richer way. And I feel very blessed to have been, born into a wonderful Jewish family and live in the greatest country in the world, the United States. Have a double dose, a spiritual home, and 8 grandchildren in Jerusalem,
Wow.
and a proud American citizen, who can do common cause on behalf of human rights with people of other faiths and try to make a difference for everyone. So it is a unique time in history. And yes, I'm so blessed that once a week, even during the virus, 25 hours, you stop, there's no email, there are no
Right.
phones, and you go back to the source. And in every single week, you're going to find relevance to your life. And also for those of us who are struggling with our poor kids, who are many of whom are still locked up, there's so much there that, don't be afraid to talk to your kids about these ideas and see
And
what they have to say.
you're speaking, of course, of Shabbat, which so many of us are rediscovering the beauty of and the power of. But right back here in this Parsha, and there's 2 other questions I want to go to. And we have a lot more people tuning in. Folks, as you tune in, just sign in, tell us who you are. Pastor Pam Lena just signed in. God bless you. Pastor Pam, one of our partner churches, great to see you. Hit the share button. Everybody help spread the word, get the word out there for us. But Rabbi, you're talking about Shabbat, but right here in Mishpatim, in this Parsha, the concept of Shabbat, the principle, the essence of Shabbat is manifested in verse 10 of chapter 23, which is the concept of the Shemitah year. That we're dealing with an agricultural society. We're dealing with those who are planting, fields and harvesting fields. And here comes this prohibition, this direction. Every 7th year, you must give the land a Shabbat. You must give the land a rest. Now, our dear friend Mark Gerson, who teaches us on Torah Tuesdays at 12 every week, he's taking us through and he's showing us that time after time after time after time, modern science is confirming the word of God, right? So here is environmentalism in action 5,000 years ago, because if you just harvest the land every single year, you're going to strip the land of its nutrients. And so God, the creator, is letting them know, let the land lie fallow, let there be a rest. And both the land is going to be replenished physically, the nutrients, and then the poor were able to go in and they were able to harvest that which is left. Rabbi, I was amazed that Shemitah is still practiced to
Oh,
this day by the farmers in Israel. Tell us
oh
about
yeah.
it.
Oh yes. Yeah. I think Shemitah is coming up next year, if I'm not mistaken. And there are various NGOs, we call them in Hebrew Amutot, designed to try to help the farmers get through the year. But it's a leap of faith to become a farmer to begin with. The farmers across the United States today, people who understand that if the rain doesn't come, they're not growing crops. You don't have to give theology lessons to farmers. They're very close to the good Lord and to this. Now it's the people who package the food and sell it, maybe, but to them less so. It's a great leap of faith, and yes, the rabbi certainly concluded that when the Jewish people would come back to the land, remember, for 2,000 years, it was just a dream. We continued to study these rules into minutia. Guess what? Uh, Jewish people are back. They are in the majority. And yes, this coming year will be a challenge. Maybe would be a very good incentive for the people in Gaza to tell Hamas, maybe we should put down the terrorism, open up the doors so we can do very well in the Shemitah year by selling our produce to the 9.5 million plus citizens in the state of Israel. So it is a reminder in a broader sense for society that, yes, big time, a reminder of who ultimately is in charge.
That's right.
And we try to, of course, utilize technology, hydroponics, stuff I don't even understand. All of that is a part of our being junior partners. But at the core is to remember that, yeah, don't be surprised when the scientists catch up, but that's not the reason why we follow Shemitah. And as
Right.
far as Shabbat is concerned, as someone who travels the world and flown millions of miles, you have no idea what it means. No matter where you're at, you can be in Baku or in Manama or in Indonesia or anywhere on the planet. It's a portable gift from God that
Beautiful.
allows you to step back, and also just as a way. That's another thing about uh, Sinai and Mishpatim is you need to take a step back from your arrogance. When
Mhm.
you're successful, and please God, everyone should be, you begin to forget like how you got there. But
Mhm.
the Torah wants to constantly remind you that you should step back from your arrogance. If you've been blessed with a lot of money, it's very interesting. One of the great rabbis had an amazing statement that it's also based on the Psalms, but basically, when a rich person passes by a poor person and the poor person greets them, if you don't greet them back, you've stolen. You're guilty of stealing from the poor person. Now, what does a poor person have to give to a rich person? But what the Torah, with the system, what the rabbis are pointing out is you you have to make sure you're not dehumanizing the next person. You have
Beautiful.
to see their humanity.
Yeah.
And by the way, maybe the reason you're trying to deflect and avert your eyes from someone who needs help is exactly that. If you don't have to deal with their humanity, you don't have to write a check. You don't have to show empathy. And there
Mm.
are societies that basically say, I go to Japan quite often, great people, but their culture is different. You don't do a favor for someone in Japan unless they ask, because in their system, then they're going to owe you forever. So people who have a great heart, instead of just doing the right thing, very often pull back. The Torah says, no, the more mitzvot, the more positive things that you do to help others, it's going to wash back to you and make you a better person. Every
Yeah.
time you fail to do so, you're not living up to your potential.
Well, Jesus said it is more blessed to give than to receive. And there's that concept of gratitude. And of course, Rabbi, our mutual friend David Suissa, I remember a year or two ago had that encounter. I don't know if you remember that, but he encountered a homeless person there in Los Angeles, and there was a whole journey that unfolded from that. Folks, we are talking tonight to the esteemed Rabbi Abraham Cooper. He is the Dean of the Simon Wiesenthal Center in Los Angeles. He is a global ambassador for human rights and for truth. He fights not only anti-Semitism, but he fights racism and extremism from the United Nations to all four corners of our planet. We are incredibly blessed to have him here tonight. And we have him here tonight because you partner with me. And I want to ask those of you online tonight who've not yet become a partner, would you please consider becoming a partner with Eagle's Wings, with this ministry? The only way we do what we do all around the world is because a faithful group of people once a month send in whatever that may be. Friend of Israel at $18 a month, Key of David, $36 a month, Watchman on the Wall, $72 a month, whatever level you are comfortable with, whatever level you're able to do, or maybe you can just send a first gift. But it is only all of us together doing our part that moves this forward. There's all kinds of great gifts and invitations and things that you get. You go to the website, they'll put the link in there. But one of the great things, and Rabbi, we're going to give this to you tonight. It's going to come in the mail tomorrow, but is our Bishop and the Rabbi mug. There you go, with our official Bishop and the Rabbi logo. Can they see it there? There it is.
I can.
There it is. Where is it?
Very nice.
Back it up. They said back it up. There it is. All right. And so folks, do your part and join in and help us as we continue. They're telling me to go eagleswings.org/partner. And please become my partner. We need more partners tonight. If this ministry has blessed you over the months, over the years, and you're not yet a partner, $18 a day is about 60, or a month is about 65 cents a day. It'll make a huge difference for us. Hello, Pastor Hess Foman, my friend from Brazil, who is now living, I believe, on the West Coast. God bless you, sir. All right, Rabbi, you have been teaching us amazing things tonight, and I want to give you the last word in a moment, but one final question from me, and then you go ahead and wrap it up however you feel. But there's this other phrase in here that I think is amazing, but I hope I have it right. I might have it wrong, Rabbi, which will be embarrassing for me. But if it is, it'll be Hashem humbling me. That's okay.
Don't ask, you don't know.
But Exodus 24, verse 7, I have been told that the response here is very interesting. So, verse 3, let's start with verse 3 of chapter 24. So Exodus 24, verse 3, Moses goes and tells the people all God's words and laws, and then they respond, and then Moses gets up and builds an altar, etc. And then verse 7, and I'm not sure if it's verse 7 or another verse, but the essence of it is that the actual word says, we will do and we will hear, or we will do and we will obey, or something to that effect. In other words, the concept is we're going to obey first. We're going to do first. We might not understand till later, but we're going to follow what God says. Am I somewhere accurate with the thought here?
Yeah, you're in the neighborhood. The Hebrew term is na'aseh v'nishma. That's actually the first time that they were asked if they would want the Torah. So the Jewish people responded, we will do, and we will listen. And trust me, that's not an approach to life that Jews have taken with them over the centuries. We're always questioning. We want to know exactly why. But at that unique moment in history at Mount Sinai, the recently freed slave said, we will, whatever it is, we're signing on, and then we'll get the details afterwards. As things progress, the people would say to Moses, we're prepared to listen, teach us. That's the main goal. And of course, when his father-in-law came in last week's in the Yitro, right? Jethro. And he took a look, and it took an outsider to basically say, look, you're the greatest teacher ever, but you've got to create a system. If you don't create a system, you'll burn out, and people are going to wait, for hours or days, for an answer. So that I had have a very good friend from the Netherlands, a religious Muslim, who's a social worker and has paid a very heavy price because he has spoken out in the Netherlands against Islamist terrorism and anti-Semitism. I brought him once. We honored him in New York, and I brought him to my alma mater, Yeshiva University, in Upper Manhattan. And we had a few extra minutes. We went into the Beit Midrash. Beit Midrash is where we study our oral traditions.
By the way, I had lunch with Rabbi Berman, Ari Berman,
okay,
just before 3 weeks before COVID. We had lunch, and he brought me to this Beit Midrash, and
so you know exactly where we were.
Exactly
so we walk in, and if you haven't been to a yeshiva before, when you first walk in, it sounds like a chicken market. Young people, they're fighting with each other. It's the students preparing the text as best as they can, and the Talmud is all about questions and answers. And then the rabbi, the teacher, sits down with them and then explains what it is they thought they understood and get to. That's the pedagogical approach. This religious Muslim told me, after he was silent for 3-4 minutes, and he turned to me and he said, "This has just changed my life, my religious life." So, well, what do you mean? I said, I know that a madras comes from the same root as Beit Midrash. Well, what's the difference? And he said, the difference? You just explained to me. I went over to a couple of students. Everything about study here is about questioning. It's not that questions are okay. We're encouraged to question. We have to question to get to the bottom of the truth. Well, in the madras where I grew up, everything was about memorizing. Questions were frowned upon, basically not allowed. So inquiring, finding your connection to those values, your personal, deepening it. Next year we back in Mishpatim. If we want to do the same portion next year, we're going to talk about 4 other subjects.
Right.
So it's the Torah is such an amazing gift. And another occasion we can talk about, the word Pharisee doesn't have a very good name in the New Testament, but it was the rabbis, the good ones.
That's right.
Who kept the traditions alive, giving it a depth and an infrastructure that we can build upon, making sure that both the timeless challenges we all face and the here and now of whatever's going on with technology and biotech and choices that were never available to humanity before are now a pedestrian. The Torah is a living Torah. It talks to us. It's such an amazing gift. And at the core, which I know you know, Robert, you may want to have an expert on, it's called the 7 Noahide Commandments.
Sure.
Right? Our belief is that God came once in history to speak to all humanity, the 10 Commandments. I guess it's good news, we got 10. But the world had at its core the basic rules of setting up a just and loving society are right there. It wasn't just given to the Jewish people. And then because God understood his people better than anyone else, just to make sure he tacked on a couple of hundred more to keep us busy and try to keep us out of as much trouble as possible. I haven't had a chance to ask him yet how that's going, but thank God he's allowed us to come this far.
Folks, we've had an amazing night with Rabbi Abraham Cooper. Rabbi, how do they find you? If social media, website, how would people connect with you and the great work of the Wiesenthal Center?
People can sign on at Wiesenthal.com. We have e-blasts going out every couple of days. I'm very involved with the tweets that go out. And unfortunately, I'm in a growth industry, anti-Semitism, and pushing back on tyranny around the world. And the next time we meet, we'll probably have an opportunity for me to reflect on what I learned how I grew spiritually during a recent trip to Nigeria.
Yes.
Hearing the voices of the voiceless, people who are suffering there. So Wiesenthal.com is a good way. Send a basic email through there. But I'm a supposed expert on digital terrorism and hate, but believe it or not, I don't really have my own Facebook or Twitter handle. Anything I need to understand about technology, I've got 11 grandchildren, and anything I need to know about breaking news, they or my colleagues at the center or our members at the Wiesenthal Center keep me appraised. So if I went onto social media, then I think I would sink. But I would invite everyone, Bishop, doesn't have to be the Jewish Sabbath.
Mhm.
A great experiment, the moment we can start walking outside again after this COVID is over, pick one day a week where you shut the damn thing off.
Mhm.
Let the kids get some real friends. You know what? Keep your phone on, but forget about email and social media one day a week. It's like
Beautiful.
a drug, but trust me, you'll live longer and prosper if you adopt that approach.
And we are going to, in the very near future, have a special edition with Rabbi to hear what he has found, along with our close friend Johnny Moore, who has been with us on other programs, what he's found about the persecution that's happening in Nigeria. And we're going to have that soon. So stay tuned. We'll be giving
Right.
more
And
information
if
about
I
that.
may, because I saw it on the screen, Wiesenthal is
Oh, yep.
Wiesenthal.
Yes. Thank you, Rabbi.
Wiesenthal.com. Well,
We will
thank
get
you.
that.
Thank you all. And I hope, that we'll meet next at both on the way in at Ben Gurion, that we'll see each other again in Israel soon. So God bless you.
Absolutely. Rabbi, thank you so much. Bishop and the Rabbi family, God bless you. We will see you Sunday morning, 10 a.m. at thetab.org. Thetab.org Sunday morning for our Sunday morning service. Tomorrow night, we'll go live at 6 p.m. for a brief Shabbat brachot. We'll be blessing the elements to welcome Shabbat. And until then, everybody, keep praying for the peace of Jerusalem. God bless. Rabbi, thank you so much. God bless.